Oh, let me link this out. I mean, what do you even say? What do you even say? We've done so many of these lives after crappy losses. We got to do it. We got it. Just going to link it real quick. Oh my gosh. There we go. There we go. Here we go. Come join us. Here it. Control V. Post. First of all, let's acknowledge this amazing hat. And let's first thank Simply Seattle. Let's make sure Simply Seattle knows how much we appreciate them, how much we love them. Remind you to go to simplyseattle.com, use code Mollywop15 to save 15% off your order. Thank you so much, Simply Seattle. I love you. I love this hat. Look at it. It's got the moose. It's got the 40th anniversary on it. I'm also wearing my Star Wars shirt today. May the Force be with you. Thank you, Simply Seattle. Indeed. Indeed. Thank you, Justin. All right, let's do our normal stuff. Mariners win 8-4. They improved to 38-30 on the season. Boy, this should have been the 69th game of the year because it was very nice at the end. Let's go over the scoring plays. In the 6th inning, Luis Robert Jr., hopefully future Mariner, homers to left to make it 2-0 because Corey Lee was on base, 2-0. 7th inning, Lennon Sosa singles home Andrew Vaughn to make it 3-0. 8th inning, Corey Julks homers to left to make it 4-0. But in the 8th, Dominic Canzone homers to center, crushed it, 4-1. Mitch Haniger singles to right to score Ryan Bliss and J.P. Crawford 4-3, and Luke Raley reaches on a bunt single that scores Josh Rojas 4-4, 9th inning with the bases loaded. Big Dumper hits a grand slam to walk off the Chicago White Sox. I mean, I don't know. It's a bad one to do live, I guess, because I don't know what to say. The first 7.5 innings were some of the worst baseball I've seen the Seattle Mariners play in my lifetime. They were awful. But they got their Pete Carroll on. My buddy Brian, you play 9 innings. And that's especially true on a day-to-day like today, where you have a just awful team with an awful bullpen and a team that has shown fire, that has shown heart. It's not always a fun team to watch, but I will never question the Seattle Mariners' effort. You know, I somewhat jokingly on Twitter said boo them because they were deserving of boos for 7 innings. 7.5 innings. But golly. The negatives of this game, just to get it out of the way, are they just played like dog turds for the first 7.5 innings. They were awful. Logan Gilbert pitched 5 excellent innings, kind of slowed down pretty good in the 6th and 7th, but, you know, it's tough to be too harsh about that. So he's not in the positive pile for me, but not really in the negative. Matt Bowman did not look good. Matt Bowman is not good. I still don't understand why they're choosing him over Colin Snyder, but okay. Kirby Snead wasn't great. Ryan Stanek got in some jams, but boy, was he fired up after he got that 3rd strikeout, man, and good for him. No real terrible offensive efforts. I'm sorry, guys. You know what? I'm going to read some comments, and then we'll get into it. Big Dumper for president. I mean, I'd vote for over both of them. I'll just tell you that right now. What did I don't know what you just witnessed. That's my catcher too, man. That's my catcher too. Yeah. That's the thing. Do you call this a good offensive effort? Because you scored 8. 8 runs is a lot of runs. But do you just ignore those first 7 innings? I don't. Yet I do. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Simply Seattle, man. They're the best. And yeah, I'm glad you brought up that Mitch Haniger single because he did not hit that ball very hard and he looked terrible in that at bat. But it's what happens when you put the ball in play, right? That's what happens when you put the ball in play. He put the ball in play, and it led to a Seattle Mariner 2-run single, keeps you in the game, and then the bunt by Luke Raley. Oh my gosh. What a play. A perfect bunt for a pitch that was extremely hard to handle. My goodness gracious. Let's see. Scott Service gets the manager save right. Oh my gosh, yes. And as many of you have brought up in here in the chat, and thank you guys so much, everybody who came out. But many of you mentioned this, and I mentioned it in the group chat with Ian, Nathan, and Anders today, the Mollywop crew. If Scott Service doesn't save Big Dumper, what happens? What happens? And he was, okay, 2 things. Number 1, the umpiring tonight was horrific. It can't not be talked about. I know I've talked about, for those of you who are new to the channel, I have promised that I wasn't going to talk about umpiring anymore. I got it. It's a huge story of this game. It was absolutely horrific. Horrific. Now, having said that, that pitch to Dumper was close enough that I think he should have protected the plate. Respectfully to Mr. Dumper. I think it was close enough that you should have protected the plate. He did bring up the fact you haven't called that a strike all night. And then he did call it on a horrible call to Nicky Lopez. Horrible. But I'm just tired of it. We have the technology. Let's fix it. Speaking of fix, I'll do this for you guys. No, you don't like staring at that stuff. Oh. Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that too. Joel brings up this. The decision to not send Crawford was insane. And good for Julio. He had a very bad at bat in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. But in a very large situation, he lines that single into left field. And I have no idea why Crawford was held. Now, I didn't see the jump Crawford got, but that should score a run 90% of the time. I was shocked when I saw him standing at third base. And Julio looked just as shocked as well. And I don't blame him, But it didn't matter because Jordan Lee sure threw an absolute meatball to Cal Raleigh, and Raleigh. Yeah. And look, Chad brings up that Eric Fette's been pretty good. Getting shut out by Eric Fette to me at home is unacceptable. It's just not, it's not acceptable to me. Yeah, 2 runs in 6 innings or something like that would have been totally fine. Not fine, understandable, justifiable. Other words, placating. They looked awful tonight at the plate. The at-bats were bad. They weren't striking out. There was no hard contact. How many balls were actually hit hard? Goodness gracious. I mean, I don't know. What do you say? Thank you so much. I'm going to call you Mean One Squared, if that's okay. Bark at the Park is about to become a weekly promotion. Dude, they should have as much bark at the park as possible because those games always end up being so freaking good. I got to plug in my computer real quick. Yeah, hopefully Santos is on track for July. I just, there's so many guys that I just can't trust right now. And this is, this has been the story all year, Jacob. Like you said, we struggle against starting pitchers, but we seem to be able to break open against relievers. They have been so much better against bullpen arms, and some good bullpen arms, Not like they're just beating up on. Now, is Jordan Leisure great? No. Is Michael Kopech extremely talented? Yes. But is he great? No, far from it. His command is absolutely atrocious. But the Mariners have beaten a lot of good relievers with a lot of good stuff. And I think some of that, and I know people hate when I credit Scott Service, some of that credit goes to Service for keeping this organization, this team rather, locked in. They don't quit. They trust the process. And I know a lot of people hate that phrase too, but they do. And it's worked out a lot. Now, it's failed them at times too. No question about it. There's no question it's also hurt them. And if the Mariners were playing in a different division, we'd be talking about a lot of things. But yeah, Mitch Haniger's at bat was critical in the rally. And look, it was a bad at bat for the first 2 or 3 pitches. I think it was 3. But you made contact. It wasn't hard, but you made contact. And while weak contact isn't a good thing, weak contact is quite often much, much better than strikeouts. Now, you hit into a double play. Something I wanted to bring up. First of all, super glad that Tyler Locklear was able to avoid getting hit in the dome. That would have been bad. But holy crap. Watching him on that double play, I knew that Tyler Locklear is not fast. We all did. Just looking at Tyler Locklear. That's as slow as I've seen a runner. I don't know what his sprint speed there was. But oof, magoof. That's another guy you got to pinch run for late in games. But congratulations on your first hit at home. I'm so glad that you didn't get hit. That would have been so bad. Ryan Bliss with that awesome hit. Dom Canzone showing off that pop. There were some good offensive games at the end tonight, but for the first 6.5 innings of first 7 innings of offense, they looked bad. Yeah, gotta hitch the wagon indeed, my friend. Gotta hitch the wagon indeed. Saw somebody hit the thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate if you guys hit like. Please hit subscribe if you're new. We'll remind you about the join button. We're going to be doing a live video throughout Tuesday's game. We're just going to watch the game together. That'll be for Mile Y enthusiasts only, but I really would appreciate you guys checking that out. Got a lot of videos coming up as well for enthusiasts. Really appreciate it. This is great news as well. As the Astros lost to the Giants 4-3. I have not checked the standings today, but I believe they're now 6 up. That was 6, by the way, not that other word. MLB. I can't believe they won that game. I cannot believe they won that game. MLB standings. 5.5. 5.5, and then 7.5 up on Houston. 8 games up on the win column. That's right. Thank you, Jacob. I forgot about that. I mean, I'm shocked too. And, I was just thinking about what the hell I was going to say about a loss. I was just wondering what I say. How can I articulate how bad of a loss this was going to be? To get shut out, as they were for the first 7 innings, and only pitch okay against the worst team in baseball. Guys, this team has a run differential of 148 the other way. I'm concerned with Julio's power this year. When does this concern you, Chris? I mean, I'm a little concerned right now. I'm a little concerned right now, not about the overall player, just about the power, because he is just flat out not able to turn on inside fastballs right now. One thing that I thought he would be able to do for sure, every time he does it, it's hit hard, but it's hit 40 feet foul. And that does not work out well. Oh, thank you so much, Ariel. I love Victoria, BC. One of my absolute favorite cities. Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in and just really appreciate the support. Another supportive thing for those of you who are in the PNW, I'm going to be hosting Ian Furness's show again on Friday, the 14th, 12 to 3. Please tune in. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Gilby has not gotten the most run support, has he? And, you know, I'm not saying he pitched awful today, by the way. For the first 5 innings, he was fantastic. And he left one pitch to a hitter that you can't leave that pitch to. Luis Roberts, awesome. I think Luis Roberts should be a Seattle Mariner. How about you guys? Are you okay with that? I don't know how much it's going to cost, but oh, here's a good deal. Simply Seattle, 20% off code starts right now. Go use it. Go use it. Got to see what the code is real quick so I can give it to you guys. Simply Seattle. Gosh, I love those guys. All right, the code is DADS20. I'm going to type it in the chat. DADS20. Use that, save 20%, get this awesome hat, get a bunch of other awesome, cool stuff. Thank you for pointing that out. I really appreciate that, Brian. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for tuning in. If we kidnap him after this series, we don't have to trade anything. Those are the rules. Guys ever see Celtic Pride? Horrible movie, but not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Just don't let him leave. Just don't let him leave. I don't want him if the asking price is more than the Padres got or gave up for Soto. I don't know what the asking price really is, to be honest with you. I don't know what the asking price is, but I imagine it's going to be similar, and I'm okay with it. You know why? In part, you have Luis Robert for a while. I think that's a big part of this. Yeah, and I saw something like that too, that Atlanta and a couple other teams have asked, and that the asking price for him and for Garrett Crochet is insane. Julio isn't going to get more consistent pitches out over the plate until he makes pitchers throw there. As long as he keeps swinging at those up and away fastballs, pitcher's going to keep throwing them. See, I don't think that's the problem, though, Rufus. I think the problem is more the up and in fastballs. It's the inside pitches that he's struggling with. Like, you saw what he did with an away pitch against Kansas City where he lines that go-ahead single. The problem is that whatever is going on with him mechanically right now, that elbow is just not letting him get down enough for him to drive that pitch. Jake, I know you're a little biased, but thank you so much. This moose hat is elite. I got it from a really cool company. I got it from a really cool company. The fact that Luis Robert has dealt with injuries is something to consider, especially on a roster that has injury problems, right? You're already – do we even remember that Jorge Polanco plays for the Seattle Mariners? I don't. Mitch Garver's got injury issues. Mitch Haniger obviously has had massive injury issues. So that is risky. But the upside that you get with Luis Robert, and I was thinking about this today. Imagine an outfield defensively. Imagine an outfield of Luis Robert, Julio Rodriguez, and Victor Robles. And name a better one. Oh, I got you. No worries. Yeah, I totally agree with us. He's got to figure out how to hit that pitch. I don't know if I can name a better defensive outfielder than that. Now, obviously, Victor Robles' offense is just terrible. But defensively, You have that as your fourth outfielder to come into games for whoever you put in left field? Because I imagine Robert would be playing right. Thoughts on a report that Bauer might be headed to Houston? Justin, love you. Have a history with Bauer. I'm going to have to no comment that one, but I kind of doubt that that's a real thing. Just my personal opinion. Bliss needs to be the full-time second baseman. Yeah, I would agree right now. That Bliss needs to be playing every day. He's played fantastic defense. His at-bats have been great. When Jorge Polanco's healthy, I still think he should be the second baseman. Polanco's going to be okay, assuming he can actually be on the field. But I still believe Jorge Polanco is going to be one of their better offensive players. Chad, I heard you asking about Keuchel. I can't imagine that he is. I can't imagine that he's going to be anything, which is a weird thing to say for a former Cy Young winner. But I just don't think that's working out. Rufus, I tend to agree. And I will just stick with my no comment while commenting at the same time. Yeah. Bader, Nimmer, and Robles would be awfully good too. Yeah. But I mean, I just think Julio's range is the best of any center fielder right now. So, that would be good. PCA, Bader, Lubob would be ridiculous. But like, they would have two of the three. You know what I mean? Yeah. Any update on that Santos guy we got in the offseason for the 8th inning setup, man? Apparently starting to throw hard in bullpen sessions. We'll see. Anything you get from him now is just icing on a cake. But I have my doubts about him coming back anytime soon. That's for sure. Jack Power. This is a good stat. That was Cal's third career walk-off as a Mariner, and this was the 10th Grand Slam walk-off in Mariners franchise history. I'm trying to think if I can think of any of the other ones. I feel like Mike Blowers might have hit one. He hit a bunch of Grand Slams one year. Man. Give me Rayleigh in the outfield with that 80 bunt. Dude, that bunch, I hope I talked about it. I hope I talked about how good that bunt was. To be able to get that ball down and keep it there. Unbelievable. And I think that's his 5th bunt hit of the year, which has got to be among the league leaders. Dylan, we're doing great, man. Other Dylan, what do you think about Brian Wu, brother? He's been pitching great. I think he's going to absolutely shove against this White Sox lineup. Shove. I would be very surprised if he gave up more than 2 runs. Shed Long did have one. Shed Long had one. Is a fun little tongue twister kind of. Shed Long had one. Cade Marlowe had one last year? Crawford had one to walk off the Rays for a sweep in 2022. I remember that one. If hypothetically you had to pick between adding offense or high leverage relief arms at the deadline, assuming you can't get both, which are you prioritizing? I'm still prioritizing offense. I'm still enough of a believer in Andres Munoz, and really what it's more about, I just don't trust this offense enough to say that you can't add. Ideally, you're getting both. And I think they have the farm system to get both. I think they have a chance to do kind of what the 2021 Atlanta Braves did. A chance to add a bunch of guys to make this team better without destroying the farm system. Now, they're not as good as the 2021 Braves, so they need to do a little bit more. But I think that can be the bullpen. That can be the blueprint. The blueprint. That's a word. The blue pen. That's what I would be gaming for. I would love to get a star. I'm not sure if the star is going to happen, but I do believe that they have enough arms down on the farm to possibly help them. Why do I not remember that Cade Marlowe Grand Slam? And that's a good point too, Steven. Thanks so much for coming out too. If the offense gets better, there would be less high leverage needed. Yeah, score 6 runs, and you don't really need that bullpen to be great. You don't need that bullpen to be great. I saw a couple other questions up here that were interesting. Oh, no, we can't find it. Can you not super chat? I'll try. Oh, the super chat, like the ability to leave. Yeah. I can't yet. I don't know why. I wish you could. It would be awesome to be able to do that. Oh, and the other reason I can't do that is because I'm using StreamYard. It's just easier that way, but appreciate the support, buddy. Very, very much appreciate the support. Oh, so it wasn't a walk-off. It was in the top of the 9th against the Angels, so not a walk-off. Interesting. I can't remember where I put my mail key, and I have some stuff that I need to get. So you can excuse me for not remembering that grand slam. Need at least a 3-hitter if we're, yeah, I would agree. And a back end arm. By that I think you mean a bullpen arm. Yeah, I think the rotation's pretty okay, but it wouldn't hurt to go get another arm just in case of an injury or something like that. Yeah, I'm sure I talked about it too. I just don't remember. Is there anything else I really wanted to talk about in this game? We can just go over the individual efforts here. Crawford with a couple of big walks, taking a little bit of event. They were pretty up. They were pretty outside the zone. He did fine. Josh Rojas gets on twice. Julio was having a pretty rough offensive game up until that big base hit. And that was a big hit. It'll be forgotten because, grand slam. But that really should have won the game. How long until Dipoto gives Avicel a shot? Oh, man. I totally forgot he was on the waiver wire. Mitch Haniger reaches 3 times. Boy, it'd be nice to see him get going. And I've seen little flashes of Haniger, not enough to be like, hey, this guy should be hitting in the middle of the order, but enough to suggest that he's a nice right-handed bat against left-handed pitching. We talked about Rayleigh. We talked about Locklear. Canzone just absolutely shellacked that baseball. And, he was having a very poor game outside of that round tripper. But, boy, he just absolutely clobbered that thing. And that's what he's capable of. He has the type of power to be an everyday player someday. I don't know if he has anything else to be an everyday player. But boy, oh boy, that pop is legit. And I just remain super impressed with Ryan Bliss. And I think a lot of you remember that I had him as a top 3 prospect after they made that trade. And, development stuff and Bliss struggling a little bit got moved down. But I think most of you know that I have been pretty darn high on Ryan Bliss. He has not made me look foolish yet. He hasn't made me look foolish yet. A 51 WRC plus for Canzone since coming back is pretty awful. Pretty awful, but that power. And Brian, I get what you're saying, but he's had 2 huge moments in the last 2 games. He has that big RBI single, and then we kind of forget about it because Big Dumper has a 2-run single right after. And he had what should have been the game-winning hit today. But I'm super happy that Big Dumper got that grand slam as well. Yeah, Jordan Leisure and Michael Kopech are both guys that I've mentioned as trade candidates for the Seattle Mariners, but they have just been awful since that video. Terrible. And while I do think Seattle is a much better pitching development system than this Chicago White Sox at one point had the best pitching development system in baseball, and it wasn't close. It is no longer the case. But I think Seattle could do some stuff with them, but you cannot trust them. You cannot trust them as high leverage guys right now. Steven, I heard that from a couple other people today, that they were just going to watch the recaps and be Taken away from the stress. Taken away from the stress. But you know what? That 8th and 9th inning sucked me into. I like Dumper hitting behind Julio, giving him some protection, especially if Cal can keep going or at least be known as clutch late. Yeah, I mean, look, I think those are your two best hitters. All due respect to J.P. Crawford, Jeff Rojas had a great start to the year. I still think your two best hitters are Big Dumper and Cal. Or excuse me, Big Dumper and Cal. Big Dumper and Cal are so good that they are the two best hitters. But I think Julio and Cal are the carriers. And if they are hitting next to each other, I have no problem with it. And I trust them a lot. Even with Julio not getting the pop going, I still trust him an awful lot. Plan to join for the live tomorrow. Oh, Rintaro Sasaki making his U.S. debut in the draft league tomorrow. Yeah, go watch that. Come hang out with me afterwards, but then go watch that. Or before, whatever. I think I'm going to record another MOW after this, just because this has been so rambling, and I kind of want to get the page views because I think people are going to watch it, if I'm being completely honest with you. So stay tuned for that. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. JP and Rojas are good table sitters that give you good at-bats. Usually, yeah, especially JP. JP is going to give you a quality at-bat. He's going to make you work. The result won't always be great. Rojas, mostly. And, 270, 337 in today's day and age is pretty darn good. Did you know that there's not a single team, and this was true of last week, so it might have changed, but did you know there's not a single MLB team that is hitting above 259? Not one team as of last week was hitting 260 or better. Baseball's just different. Like Julio's 271, 319, 349 line, extremely disappointing. Not terrible compared to everybody else. It's just a weird time. Such a weird time. Yeah, pitching's so good, Matthew. It's so good, and hitting is so focused on being one-dimensional now that you add that combination up, and by the way, the shift sure has improved offense a lot, huh? Get out of here with that. All right. I'm going to go record another one. Let me answer a couple more questions of here. Yeah, the combo speed unfair. Chris, did you see the stat about how the M's have allowed the lowest ever OBP to opposing? Wow. That's a crazy one. Let me show you that stat. Lowest ever. That's insane. They're a lot of fun, Volmo. They are just really fun young players. And they are people that I think you're going to get a chance to cheer for a long time. 245 on base percentage. Corbin Carroll I think Corbin Carroll's hurt. I hope I'm wrong, but I think Corbin Carroll's hurt because I watched that swing plane. It's so flat. It's so flat. Chicago White Sox has the next lowest. That is beautiful. Oh, in 2009. Okay. I was going to say in 2024, are we sure? This pitching is special. This offense, some question marks. All right. I'm going to go record. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit like and subscribe. Really appreciate the support. Holy crap.